Hello and welcome to my talk about design thinking multi-agent systems. So my name is Martin Sugert. I'm the founder and managing director of Datentreiber, a data and AI strategy, consulting, training, and tooling company. Started the company 12 years ago to help companies to be more data-driven, so they drive their company forward with data and AI. And what I saw at the beginning is that the biggest problem of companies is that different departments are not working together. So they have an IT department, they have a data science department, maybe a BI department, and marketing, sales. In order to succeed with data and AI, all have to work together to create compelling data and AI strategies and solutions. So what we developed over 10 years ago is a set of canvases or visual collaboration tools help companies to better work together to co-create data and AI solutions. This method is now known as the data and AI design method. It's used worldwide. You can find it on our website. Just go to datentreiber.com and you can go to the method section, and there you find our canvases. Download it as PDF file, print it, and use it in an offline workshop. But you can also use it as a PNG file and use it, for example, in Mural concept board or whatever collaboration tool you like. In this video, I'll show you how you use our canvases in Miro, because that's our favorite tool. And also we published all the canvases on Miroverse. That's a template directory. Here you can see my Miroverse profile with our templates. We not only published canvases, but also we published workshop templates. So for example, you can see here, there is a lean data and AI marketing strategy workshop template. There is this multi-agent system design workshop, which we will use today, and I will show you in a minute or so. There are a lot of other workshop templates you can use. They are free. All our canvases are published Creative Commons license. If you have any questions, just contact me on LinkedIn. You find the LinkedIn link here on also on my Miroverse profile. Also, we have a YouTube channel. There you find additional videos. So let's move on. So why did we develop this method? So as said, what we saw is that different departments do not work together. So, and mostly, for example, data science, AI, the BI department, they are focusing on what's called the feasibility. So they want to make things technically working, right? But a solution that's just feasible, possible, might not be viable. So it might not bring any monetary benefit to the company. So another very important dimension for a successful data and AI innovation is viability. But also the user must accept the solution. They must want to use this solution, and that's what's called desirability, right? And in the end, you have to find solutions that are viable, desired, feasible in order to be a success. With the rise of agentic AI, there is a fourth dimension. It's called responsibility, because agentic AI or generative AI is so powerful, and with great power, there comes great responsibility. So your solution has to be responsible, it has to be safe for the user and secure for your company. So, for example, it should prevent prompt injections, so no one can steal, for example, your data. So, and this is exactly what we are trying to do in a workshop and in a collaborative way, because the business users or the business domain experts, they can focus on viability. The final users, they have this desirability point of view. The AI people have this feasibility point of view. And then maybe you also have a chief privacy officer or someone else who's looking on the responsibility part. In the end, you have to work together to exactly find the sweet spot, because there are a lot of solutions. Some might be feasible but not viable. Some might be viable and feasible but not desired, and so on. In the end, it's really exploring this big room and identifying the solution which fulfills all those four criteria. So, and for this, we created, especially for designing multi-agent solutions, so agentic AI solutions, we created another template. It's called multi-agent system design workshop. As said, you find it on our Miroverse template directory. Here you see the URL on the right side. So yeah, let's start. I'll guide you through the multi-agent system design workshop template. So here you can see the whole template. I'll give you a short overview, and then we will dive into the different sections of this workshop, which corresponds to different phases of the workshop. And most important, on the left side, here you can see, I'll zoom in a little bit, you see a document, and this document is a tutorial for the workshop. If I'm going through this workshop and maybe you don't understand a thing or so, go back to the tutorial, read the tutorial. There it's explained in very detailed, right? So let's zoom out and let us take a look on the different phases of the workshop. Most important, I mean, this is a one-day workshop, and really you should take the time and think one day together about how the multi-agent system design should look in the end. So before you engineer something, design it. You think it through. Think of it as a collaborative thought experiment. So you invite all these different stakeholders and you think it through. So you be sure that in the end, what you will engineer will be feasible, desired, viable, and responsible. Also saying this, please do not just invite your AI engineer colleagues, but also invite, for example, people from the IT who have an overview of the different data assets in your company or IT systems. Also invite, of course, the business users, the business domain experts, and so on. So, so because, I mean, in the end, what we are trying to do with this multi-agent system design workshop is, and it's here, we want to automate a process using agentic AI. So, and the whole workshop starts with the business process analysis. So the first thing we will do, and I will go into more detail in a minute, we will analyze the existing process, find out what's the objective of this process, what should be the deliverables, the output of this process, what are constraints or other requirements that we should need to know. So in order, if we automate the process, we have to consider those requirements and constraints. So, and the next thing is, then we go into the user role identification. So what users are involved running this process? So who are the stakeholders? Who are potential users? Who are decision makers, and so on? This is also important because at the end, there will be humans still involved in an agentic AI solution. So those your be your human agents that will also interact with your AI agents. Then, when we understand the process, understand the users, we go into the agentic workflow design. We will use here this Miro diagramming feature, and we will identify the different agents. So as said, this will be a multi-agent system. So we will think about what agents do we need and how they interact. What is the work and communication, the information flow. And once we designed the multi-agent system, then we go into the more technical perspective. So we trying to assess the current data on AI analytics maturity. So we want to identify what are the existing systems, the existing components, databases, whatsoever. So what is already there, and also identify what is needed to implement this multi-agent system. And yeah, what's missing and what is our roadmap. So what we should implement first. So because there are dependencies, and yeah, in stack we can build our tool or text, right? And finally, we have to talk about the guardrail requirements, our AI guardrail requirements. This will all be about the responsible AI. So we will talk about things like security, safety, explainability, transparency, privacy, and fairness. And we also identify so-called guardrail agents that are the agents that check other agents, that, for example, prove the output of other agents or try to identify prompt and check that. So if you take a look on other workshops, you will always find that we first start with the business understanding, and we start with the business understanding to ensure that our solution will be viable. Then we go into the user understanding because we want our solutions desired. We go into the data and AI understanding because we want our solution feasible. As I said at the end, also an important part, we want our solutions to be responsible, so we go into the risk understanding. Okay, so let's start. I guide you through the template, and I will show you one example. I will not use a new example, but show you just the existing, because time is limited. And as said, there is a tutorial that helps you to fill out the canvases your own. So there's also an intro phase with an data and AI design thinking workshop. I won't go into the details here. It's about, you use this in preparation for the workshop, and you show this canvas at the beginning and during the workshop in order to signal, okay, what is the progress of this workshop. So for example, we started inviting the participants. We presented the agenda, or that's what we are currently doing now. So that's why it's a yellow one. And then the next step is we sketch the business process. By the way, here you can see again the different phases. You can see here the business understanding, because it's all about viability. You see the user understanding, because it's all about desirability, feasibility, data understanding, and so on. So this is another representation, visualization of how the workshop works. So, but let's start with the business understanding. And for business understanding, we want to automate a business process, go into a business process analysis. So, and for this phase, we're using a canvas. It's called value chain. We use it to sketch a value chain, and each process is a value chain. So you have something at the beginning, some base products or initial state, and at the end you have an end product or final state. And of course, there should be a value add from left to right. So, and what you can see here is we use, by the way, you see here the lower part, you see here a legend. So we use green sticky notes for existing elements of the process. We use yellow sticky notes for process elements that are planned or work in progress. And maybe we'll also identify things that should be changed or is missing, that we use red sticky notes. I'll come to the blue sticky notes in a moment. Also very important, all canvases have a header, and here in this header you write down, for example, the name of the company. In our case, the company, it's an example company, it's not a real company, it's called Set Hippo Company. Maybe you heard about Hippo, it's the highest paid person opinion. So that's a company where the person with the highest pay makes all the decisions. That's exactly the opposite of a data-driven company. And that's why the company is very sad. And our job is to make it a happy, data-driven company. So this example was that Hippo company. This was designed by Datentreiber, and we are focusing in this example on the business travel process. So in the Set Hippo company, there is a process how you apply for business travel, how you plan and organize a business travel, and how you then get the money for the business travel. So here, and I mean, I will go into all details of the canvas. There's also a specific web page on our website for this canvas, explaining all of the different boxes on this canvas. Very important to fill out this canvas together. So for example, start from left to right or right to left. So let's start here from left to right. So we have a client of the Set Hippo company, and this client requests a business meeting with one of our employees. The employee begins some travel planning, fills out a travel request that goes to the HR department. Then you got a travel approval, a travel booking, a travel expense report after the travel been executed, and then you get an approved, booked, and billed business trip. So, and of course, the employee is the beneficiary of this business trip. So here you can see it all starts on the left with the base products or the initial state. On the right, you have the end products and the final state. And in between, you have the primary activities. Those are the main business process elements. There might be some general and special suppliers involved. For example, general suppliers might be like something like a travel agency who helps to run this process. Maybe there are a hotel booking platform and so on. And this is really important because later on, I mean, we want to automate this process. We have to know which other organizations or systems our agent must interact with. So that's why we are doing this. We need to understand the business process now and then maybe redesign it to make it better in the future. So support activities are activities that are supporting this business process, but internal, not external. Suppliers are external. So in here, it's the HR and the controlling department. So you also can see that there are some blue sticky notes, and those are how we measure the performance of this business process. So for example, we want to measure how much time do we spend to run this business process. We also might measure the business trip approval rate or the total travel budget and things like that. So this is important because in the end, we need to measure whether our agentic AI solution does improve any of those business KPIs, right? So once you've done this, and yeah, you should take about 45 minutes or even longer if you're doing the first time, then what we can come up with is with a summary. Like, okay, we need to know for our agentic AI process, what will be the output in the end. And of course, there should be an approved business travel plan as in the output and also a travel expense report. So you just copy and paste the most important things from the canvas down into this business objective and key results. So you define the final output of your agentic AI solution. So we think, I mean, this is also a technique you learn in design thinking, things through from the end. So start at the end and then go backwards to the beginning. And that's exactly what we do. We start thinking from the end. Now we know the business process. We know what's the output of the business process. So we define it here. So let's move on. So this was our first phase, the business understanding, the business process analysis. So let's move on into the user understanding, and especially the stakeholder analysis. So this one. So here you can see another canvas. It's called stakeholder analysis. We use it to identify all the potential human agents that are relevant. So, and again, we have different sticky notes and different colors. We have green, which means, okay, this is a stakeholder. He has a stake in this business process. He has some interest in it. And he still will be a human agent in our agentic AI system. And very important, so a system is always not a technical, but a so-called socio-technical system. The system always consists of the technical components, but also of the social components, so the humans. So that's exactly why we go into the user understanding. So in green means, okay, we want to identify we identify this as a stakeholder and also as a potential human agent. Red means, okay, this is not a human agent, so we will try to exclude him from the process. Maybe we want to automate the job, so he will be not any part anymore. Yellow means we are not sure. And for the initial brainstorming, we could use blue sticky notes as a neutral form of sticky notes. So here you can see the end. In the end, we have identified 7 different stakeholders. And let me go through it. So we have as a decision maker, the employee's boss. That's the one who will make a decision whether the travel is approved or maybe talk to the employee. So that's the one decision maker. There could be also multiple decision makers, of course. Then there are so-called economic buyers. So who gives the budget? Maybe in our case, the HR department and the HR employee is deciding over the travel budget. So we have here the HR employee. It's yellow. We are not sure whether they should be part of the agentic AI process. Then, of course, we have the end user, so the one who's using this agentic AI solution or this business process. It's the travel employee, of course. That should be, of course, a green one. And still, we have a controller, and the controller is what we call an implementer. So he's implementing, so he's running parts of the business process, and he's implementing the part where he checks whether everything is okay with the travel expenses. Then we also have the client who might be an influencer, because influencer not in a sense of a social media influencer, but influencer in a meaning he's positive towards this initiative. Of course, he will be positive towards this initiative because he has an interest that it's easier for the employee to come to visit him as a client. So he's a supporter, you could also say. That's what influencer means. And on the opposite side, you have the saboteurs. Those have a personal interest against the agentic AI solution. That could be maybe the travel agency owner, because in fact, we are replacing the travel agency with an internal agentic AI solution. And that's something we should keep in mind and understand and think about how we deal with such saboteurs. And also, the travel agency owner could be also a recommender, because in the past he was recommending the different travel options, hotels, flights. So here you can see in the end, we want to simplify this process because we just want two human agents involved in this process. Yeah, we want to reduce the effort. We want to speeden up the whole process. In the end, we want just the employee and the controller part of the process. And those are our human agents. And those are the one who are interacting with the agentic AI solution. For example, running a prompt against our agentic AI solution. So, and then let's move on to the most interesting part, the agentic workflow design. That's where everything comes together. And here we already designed the whole solution. I mean, that's something you have to do together. That's really important. Do not just let the AI engineer do the agentic AI architecture design, but really do it together so everyone understands it, everyone can input feedback and so on. So here, let me start it. So the employee has some travel request. For example, he's using a prompt interface. And this goes in our solution. That's what we came up with, a solution. There will be a travel agent. And this travel agent now splits into two sub-agents. So we are using one so-called planner agent. And this planner agent is creating the business travel plan. So he's doing all the research and come up with a recommendation. And you will see later on that it will also use some IT systems, right? And you will also see that there will be connections to the guardrails, but I'll show you later. So once the planner agent has created an approved business travel plan, then the travel agent passes this planner or this business travel plan to a booking agent, and this booking agent tries to execute this business travel plan. I mean, that's something you all know from Cloud Code or Codex. So you can ask your agent to make a plan and then to execute the plan. And that's exactly what we did here. We applied this planning design pattern to this agentic AI solution. So we have the travel agent, which is focusing on handling all the user interactions. We have the planner agent, which is just focusing on making the business travel plan. And then we have the booking agent, which is responsible for making the hotel, flight, and on bookings. And also, one important thing here, I mean, for different reasons, it's better to split this into multiple, in our case, 3 different agents. So the first thing, if you think of the system prompt, it will be much more easy to write 3 different systems prompt for the travel planner and booking agent than have just one super prompt, right? But also, I mean, think about context, the context window and things like context confusion. For example, if there is a dialogue between the employee and the travel agent, the context will grow over time. And so the planner agent might be confused if they gets the whole conversation. So what we can do with the travel agent and the planner agent, the travel agent just passes a summary of the whole dialogue to the planner agent, and the planner agent, which will be much more focused. Also, I mean, for monitoring, it's much better to have this multi-agent system design, because you can take a look into, okay, what's the travel agent passing to the planner agent as travel specification, and what's the output of the planner agent. So monitoring will be much easier. Okay, here it's a very simple um, architecture design as said. So it's a typical planning design pattern, what we applied here. Your solution, of course, could be much more complicated. Let me also show you some Miro functionality. And you could go here and yeah, open this diagram, and then sorry, the wrong one. Yeah, it's diagram shapes. So, and here you get, let me, yeah, here you got your own agentic workflows shapes in Miro. And here you can see, for example, the different AI models and things like that. So you just can drag and drop it onto the diagram area and add tools. You could also easily connect it, things like that. So I'll remove it just to let you know how to work with Miro. I mean, Miro is very simple. Go to the Miro.com website. There's also an academy if you want to know more how to interact with Miro. You'll find a lot of tutorials, by the way. So next step is we have to get into the data and AI assessment and road mapping. And for this, we are using another canvas. It's called Analytics and AI Maturity. And the first thing we do is we do an assessment. So let's take a look what the said Hippo company is already using. So as tools, but also as applications. And the Analytics and AI Maturity canvas has two parts. The lower blue part, it's all about tools. So tools, for example, about data management or descriptive analytics tools, but also, for example, autonomic analytics. So it's this analytics maturity model, which was popular by, published by Gartner. So we use it for this canvas here. And then we have this green part. Going from left to right, those are the different categories of applications. So you have business operation, applications for business operations, but also for business reporting, business discovery, business forecasting, business optimization, and business automation. So I'm trying to avoid here the terms AI, because often AI could be anything. So we use the categorization of different analytic and data tools, and distinguishing between tools and applications. So tools is something the AI engineer, the data scientist would use to build applications for the end user, and the end user is the business user. So, and here, of course, and if we do this, focus always on one application domain and not on the whole company. So here we focus on the business travel domain of the said Hippo company. And of course, they are using, for example, booking.com or any other flight, train, hotel booking platform. They maybe have a calendar application. They have an ERP system and things like that. They have maybe also a time tracking app. And of course, there will be a time tracking report as a descriptive analytics application for business reporting, right? So again, here we use the red sticky notes to indicate what's already there. We could use yellow to indicate that's work in progress or that's planned. And finally, we have also to come up with, okay, what's missing? And that's the red sticky notes. And of course, yeah, we need, for example, an agent platform. We would also need a large language model. And we need to implement the travel agent, the planner agent, and the booking agent. Those are the different applications. And yeah, by the way, here you can see on this yellow line at the top, that's how we categorize. I mean, as said before, we don't use the term AI here, but most people ask, okay, how does AI fit into this analytics AI maturity canvas? And here you can see it. So, I mean, all those applications are IT applications and IT tools. So everything starting from here to the back, going here is IT, of course. Everything starting from here is a BI, business intelligence application or tool. So also AI is used for business intelligence. I know most people think of BI just of dashboards, but in its original definition, BI is also prescriptive analytics, predictive analytics, and so on. And then you could say, okay, starting here, so starting with analytics or diagnostic analytics, it's about analytical AI. Then you have predictive AI. I mean, also a large language model is a predictive AI solution because it predicts the next best token. But of course, it's not just only predictive AI, it's also generative AI, and you could use then generative AI for agentic AI. So this is how the model or the canvas here works. Okay, so let's go back, and again, we connect this assessment and road mapping to the overall agentic AI design. So we identify the most important IT, BI, and AI systems because those systems are exactly our context. So this is where the AI agents get additional information, or they can do some tool calling. For example, call the browser at the tool and make those bookings. So what we need especially is a database with the travel guidelines. So the AI knows, okay, can I book this or that? Then, of course, we need access to a web browser. We need access to the calendar of the employee. We need, of course, some chatbot functionality. We use MCP and so on. So this is how we design the technical architecture and the interaction with the technical components. So, and then finally we go into the AI guardrail requirements. So, and here it's all about the responsible AI. So we go through 3 different categories. We think about security and safety issues. We think about requirements for explainability, so, and transparency, and we go into the topic of privacy and fairness. And we always think about the input, the model, and the output, right? Because all those 3 layers have to be considered. So for example, if we think about security and safety and now focus on the input, yeah, we have to check, for example, for prompt injections, so that no one injects a prompt saying, okay, book me holidays in Thailand in our first class hotel, right? So, and for output, for example, yeah, the business travel plan must be compliant with the travel guidelines, right? Or also the travel expenses and so on. And so here you can come up with a lot of requirements, constraints, write them down, and then finally think about, okay, how would you ensure using additional agents that all those requirements, all those constraints are met? So for example, we could add a prompt checker, or we could add a travel expense compliance checker. Of course, we should add some locking. And here you can see we also connected those prompt checker to, for example, the travel request. So before the travel request reaches the travel agent, there will be another agent, the prompt checker, which will use also a large language model, just to check for prompt injections, right? And this is how it would be done. So, and that's the final phase, or the final step of your multi-agent architecture design workshop. And in the end of the workshop, and that's the reason why we're doing it, everyone has a better understanding of what be engineered in the next development phase. So the business owners, they know what the system will be capable of, what will be the limitations, They also know how they will be involved in this process. The AI engineers know what to engineer. The IT knows, okay, there are some systems or tools missing. Maybe we have to look for an LLM provider. Maybe we have to set up a new database and whatsoever. So this is really, it's not, the workshop is not the end. The workshop is the kickoff for your project so that everyone is aligned. And that's the most important thing at the end of the workshop. I mean, probably at the end of the workshop, you will not have the best possible solution that you can think of, but that's not the objective. The much more important part is that you find a solution where everyone agrees that's the way to go. So you create alignment so everyone knows what to do, why to do, when to do, and who to do. And that's the real great benefit of having such a workshop as a kickoff. Okay, so let's get back to my presentation. Just 2 more slides I'd like to show you. There is one major change coming in the upcoming weeks. We are publishing a so-called Data and AI Business Catalyst. That's an extension to the Miro template. And you can see here, we add some so-called AI action buttons. And those AI actions buttons, you can prompt our Data and AI Business Catalyst, which is like a called Miro Sidekick, which is like a custom GPT running in Miro, which is access to everything which is on the canvas, which is on the Miro board, and it can help you to fill out those canvases. It will guide you, but you can also use it to create, for example, a proposal, how the agent should look like. You can check for correctness and completeness, consistency. You can also challenge it. So you can say, okay, I'll identify those security issues, and you can change it, and it will come up with additional proposals, and it will also help you to make better decisions. So yeah, if you are interested in this Data and AI Business Catalyst, then I have another recommendation for you. So join our Data and AI Business Design community. It's completely free. It will be free. There you will get additional articles, postings about how to use our tools and templates. We're also running a monthly lunch and learn where we present new tools, and there will be, for example, also one lunch and learn where we show how to use this new Data and AI Business Catalyst. Just go to community.datentreiber.com and register. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you have any feedback or questions. I'm happy to hear it. And good luck with your agentic AI solutions. May the data be with you.